Opie's back and Barney too.
Temper.
With Gomer and Goober and Thelma Lou.
Old Frick.
It's so good to see you.
They're all back for all new laughs
I want to thank you all for coming.
in America's favorite hometown.
How come we ain't laid eyes on you lately, Sheriff?
I've been out of town 20 years.
And they'll shoot the works when you return to Mayberry.
Right in the fast lane.
And now join the celebration in a world premiere Sunday night movie.
Outstanding.
Golly, it's that time of year again. Yep, MeTV, that wonderful classic television network, is once again presenting their annual month of Mayberry, which is a month-long celebration of all the memorable television series featuring Mayberry and its beloved characters. And they're kicking things off on May 1st. They aren't waiting around it all this year to get things going, and that night's lineup looks absolutely incredible. So without any further delay, here's what the good folks at MeTV have in store for us this Sunday evening. Mark your calendars, folks, it's going to be good. First up is the Andy Griffith Show, and this is one of my favorite episodes of all time. It's called The Pickle Story. Next up is a very special episode of Collector's Call, where we meet two-time World Andy Griffith Trivia Show champion Mayberry Mike Haviland. That one is going to be good. After that, we're on to MASH with a couple of wonderful Mayberry actors. And saving the very best for last, MeTV will once again rebroadcast the wonderful television movie Return to Mayberry. So that's it. Here's the lineup. We've got Andy Griffith, Collector's Call, MASH, and then Return to Mayberry. As long as I'm talking about the month of Mayberry, I have to express my appreciation to MeTV. Airing over 50 different classic television series every week, MeTV is truly America's #1 classic television network. And the best part about MeTV is that you can watch it absolutely for free if it's broadcasting in your area and you have an over-the-air antenna attached to your television set. Now, if you don't have those things, you can still watch MeTV if you subscribe to Friendly Television. This streaming service has over 30 channels, and many of them are classic television retro TV channels, and the service is so darn inexpensive. It's under $10 a month. I'll post a link in the description section if you're interested in subscribing. Alright, one more look at that lineup for Sunday evening. We've got Andy Griffith's The Classic Pickle Story episode, and then Collector's Call, followed by a couple of episodes of MASH, and then the television movie Return to Mayberry. What a night. Hey folks, if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you consider liking the video, and maybe even subscribing to the channel. I talk about music, movies, and mostly TV from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching.
The Live Stream Code and Rating Administration has rated this online event PG. All ages admitted. Please be kind and stay on topic.
Welcome to the Good Stuff Live Sunday edition. My name is Dave Sundstrom, and if you enjoy talking about music, movies, and especially TV, and today, especially the Andy Griffith Show, well, you've come to the right place. So, it's the month of Mayberry. One of my favorite months of the year, and partially because of all of the really cool things that happen on MeTV in terms of their programming for the Andy Griffith Show. You get episodes that you don't typically see other times of the year, including a broadcast, which will happen tonight, of the classic television movie Return to Mayberry. So we're going to talk about the Andy Griffith Show today, but before I do any of that stuff, let's see who's here hanging out with me in the live stream today. All right, I'm going to scroll all the way to the top. Lots of folks here. We've got 41 people in the stream with me right now. I see Mike Silva, Lance Superfan Lance Chaffin, Thomas McCluskey, a.k.a. The Hungry Jerk, Superfan Danny Staten. Let's see who else is here. Superfan Jill Carter. John McJunkin, welcome. Good to have you with us. Jerry Gillespie, whose birthday is tomorrow. Happy birthday in advance, Jerry. Let's see. Alan Crisp, welcome to the live stream. Good to have you with us. And if I skip somebody, boy, I just apologize. There's a lot of names here. I want to make sure that I get as many people as possible, or acknowledge as many people as possible. Keith Risk, welcome to the live stream today. Superplex, good to have you here as always. I should say Superfan Superplex, Superfan Mike D. Oh, good gravy. Who else is here? Custom God, howdy. Good to have you with us. John H. is here, who says, actually, Return to Mayberry. This was in the little slideshow earlier. I think I said it was during the 86-87 TV season, and thank you for the correction. When I turn that little slideshow into an actual video with my narration, I appreciate that clarification. Thanks so much. Deborah Cooper is here. Welcome. She says, in the movie The Queen, there is an actress that plays Tony Blair's secretary, and I swear she looks like Aunt B. Too funny. Todd McCreary, Shazam, welcome. Good to have you here as well. Steve Tivis, also known as The Life and Sad Ending. Well, that's his YouTube channel. So here, welcome. Good to have you with us. Moabs, good to have you here. Yes, that episode of MASH with George Lindsay is airing tonight on MeTV. Thanks for the comment, John. Alex Bogue, welcome. Good to have you with us on the live stream. Superfan Emily Miller says, I keep missing Return to Mayberry. Maybe I'll have some luck this time. Hopefully. Shannon Burns, welcome. Good to have you with us as well. I think I said hi to Todd, but I'll say hi to Todd one more time. Mark Gothard, good to have you with us as well. Danny Staten. Danny Staten says, what did Danny Staten say? There was something. Oh, he says, hey, Dave, got you something cool today. You need to stop. Thank you so much, but I'm starting to feel guilty, all the stuff you're sending me. John McJunkin says, hey, Dave, how you been, buddy? Doing good. And I get to live stream a little bit here on Sunday, so even better now. I love hanging out with all you guys, and today we're going to be talking about the Andy Griffith Show a little bit, as well as anything else you guys want to talk about. Alex Bogue says, I feel glad to have Return to Mayberry on DVD, as do I. I have it as part of, on Amazon, there's a 50th anniversary Andy Griffith DVD set that included the Return to Mayberry movie, and that's how I have it, but I also enjoy watching it when it's aired on television, so I've got my DVR set for MeTV tonight so that I can watch it that way as well. Superfan Jill Carter, good to have you here. Superfan Tracy Roth Myers, welcome. Deborah Cooper from Texas, good to have you here. Sarita Abney, hey, good to have you with us on the live stream. Yeah, let's see. John McJunkin says my favorite episode from the Andy Griffith Show was when Andy and Opie proved they can keep the house clean without Aunt B, only to trash it again so she feels needed. What a great episode! The first 5 seasons of the Andy Griffith Show there's something truly special. For me, I grew up watching the reruns, and I just love those shows. Now, I do enjoy the later seasons 6 through 8, the seasons that only had Don Knotts typically show up once a year as Barney Fife. But the first 5 seasons were just super special. Superfan Dominic D, welcome. Good to have you here. Matt Sweeney's with us in the house. Welcome, welcome. Tom Story says, watch the Andy Griffith Show every evening. Pure entertainment. Totally agree. Thank you, Emily, for reminding everybody to hit that like button. Truly appreciate it. A little action on that thumbs up goes a long way towards YouTube recognizing that, that this is a valid live stream and pointing people in this direction. What would be cool is over the course of the hour or so where we're here today visiting, for folks that really love the Andy Griffith Show to be made aware of the live stream and for them to join us. John McJunkin says, favorite Andy Griffith Show episode was when I already said that. Okay, let's keep moving. Eric Feinberg says, hi there, I like your channel. Thanks so much, Eric. It means the world to me to hear that, and I appreciate having you here. Hopefully you enjoy the conversation today during the live stream. Tom McCluskey says, hey, Dave, did you get my package yet? Holy cow. Did I get a package from you? I'm not sure if I have. I'm going to have to double check on that, Tom. I don't think so. Let's see. Danny says, well, if you feel real guilty, you can send me one of those cool good stuff t-shirts. Well, if I do start feeling super guilty, that's exactly what I'll have to do. Okay. Great suggestion. All right. John H says that episode where Andy and Opie messed up the house for Aunt B was Andy and Opie housekeepers, and it was filmed the same week as the Dick Van Dyke pilot. That's great trivia. Thanks for sharing. Terrell Eugene Bellinger's with us. Welcome. Good to have you here. I love it. Keith Risk says non-dots. Did I say that? Or, I sometimes do get words mixed up, so it's possible. Alex Bogue says, I love the color episodes, but that era was great because without Don Knotts, it was no longer Andy, and Don predominate the show. It gave all the characters a chance to grow, and I would agree with that. We saw during those final seasons 6 through 8 a lot more stories that involved Aunt B, and of course they introduced characters like Howard. Yeah, totally agree. Movie World Comics, welcome. Good to have you here. Emily Miller says, Dick Van Dyke greater than Andy Griffith. Totally a subjective thing, right? I love the Dick Van Dyke Show. Really wonderful entertainment as well. For me, Andy Griffith has a little more special place in my heart just because I think I just watched it more when I was a young kid, but they're both such great shows. Dick Van Dyke, what a talent, and just the chemistry that he had with Mary Tyler Moore, absolutely wonderful. Superfan Tracy Rothmeyer says, I liked the first 5 seasons as well. Very timely, and the writing was phenomenal. Lamont Bradford said, color did something to Andy's personality. I think it's more than the color. I think Andy had it in his head that he was going to do 5 years of the Andy Griffith Show, and then they threw so much money at Mr. Griffith that he could not say no. It was one of those things where you just literally could not say no. The offer was so much. You couldn't turn it down. But I think what happened, and then he lost his buddy. And Don Knotts truly was Andy Griffith's buddy. So he went alone. And I know he was surrounded by the other cast members, but there was a special relationship between Don Knotts and Andy Griffith. He went it alone. And I think what we see during those final seasons, I think of it as grumpy Andy. He was very much more crotchety, maybe, just maybe more like Andy Griffith really was in real life. Okay, let's see. Tom says we had Andy Griffith on 3 of 8 stations growing up. And these days, right, you can watch the Andy Griffith Show in so many ways. Of course, you can watch it on over-the-air television and on, but the networks that are available, I think Decades plays the Andy Griffith Show, MeTV plays the Andy Griffith Show, Sundance plays the Andy Griffith Show. And if you go to Pluto TV, I believe there's a dedicated channel for the Andy Griffith Show. So these days, there's even more ways to access that show. Jason Schultz, welcome to the live stream, says Floyd was my favorite. He was so strange. He was just a wonderful, nutty kind of strange. Love that dude. Rita and Howard McNear. What a wonderful actor. Rita Daniel says, I have DVDs of the Andy Griffith Show, most every season except for the last one, as well as Matlock. Well, how awesome is it that we have the technology these days to just be able to have in our own libraries the episodes of these shows that we love. Terrell says, I do know the fact that MeTV only shows the first 5 seasons of the Andy Griffith Show in black and white. They do sometimes show the last 3 in color on occasion. And you're right, Terrell. And you know when they do that? During the month of Mayberry. Superplex says, superfan Superplex says, Floyd was a bad barber. He couldn't cut evenly. They only humored him to avoid hurting his feelings. And Howard McNear was a horrible barber as well. As a matter of fact, if you ever watch, there's no actual haircutting happening on the show. Now, the real Floyd, from what I understand, the actual barber in Mount Airy who inspired Floyd, that character, he was wonderful. Charlie Jordan, good to have you here. Still only 35 cents. Welcome. Welcome. Let's see. Tom says it was a big deal in our household when a Don Knotts movie was going to be on TV. Big deal for me as well. Remember watching The Incredible Mr. Limpet on network television when it first aired. Yes, Kimberly Wiederhold, welcome to the live stream, and that is the one about the fish. Oh, let's see. Dominic D, superfan Dominic D says, I remember when Barbara Eden guest starred as a manicurist working at Floyd's barbershop. Barbershop. Funny episode. Yeah, one of my favorites. And it's one where she comes to town hoping to be accepted. And, things aren't, even though Mayberry is the friendliest, the happiest place on earth, isn't quite what, things don't turn out the way she'd hoped they would. Rita says, I can't stay long, need to get busy as I'm moving. Well, good luck with the move. Love spending time with those that love shows as much as I do. As do I, and that's why we have these live streams, and you're always welcome back. I'd encourage you to subscribe to the channel and maybe even hit the notification bell so that you're made aware when we do these live streams. And I'll be posting an Andy Griffith video or two during the month of Mayberry with some narration, some of my thoughts about the show, and I'd encourage you to hopefully you'll enjoy those if you are aware of them. And the way you become aware of them is by subscribing and hitting the notification bell. All right, I'm going to pause right here for a moment, and we will get back to the comments, but we're going to watch a video, and then we'll come back and do some more comments. First, though, this is important. A couple of things. One, I played the disclaimer ahead of time about this live stream being rated PG. What I mean by that is let's keep our language PG rated, right? At the very worst. But be kind to each other. Stay on topic. Let's treat each other like friends and family. And only in the best way, right? And the other thing I wanted to say is that I have executive producers for this particular live stream. Ahead of time, I receive super chats from John Collins and Kevin Connor. And anytime I receive a super chat ahead of a live stream, it's hard for me to recognize those during the live stream. So they become my executive producers. And John Collins and Kevin Connor are the executive producers for this live stream today. Thank you, gentlemen, for the super chats. And as such, let me give you a little bit of love here. Video-wise, I think there's no better way when we're celebrating the Andy Griffith Show to let Gomer express my appreciation to you two fellers.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks for the support, John and Kevin. All right, let's go to this video and then I'll be back and we'll read some more comments and talk a bit more about the Andy Griffith Show and the month of Mayberry. Andy Griffith was an amazing man, and in 2 short minutes from now you'll understand why. So without any further ado, here are 6 things that you might not have known about Andy Griffith. Number 1. Plain and simple, Andy Griffith was loyal to his friends. His lifelong friendship with Don Knotts is evidence of this loyalty. Despite the fact that Don left the Andy Griffith Show after its 5th season, Andy and Don were lifelong friends and found many opportunities to be on screen together throughout their lifetimes. Number 2, Andy relished the opportunity to be a father figure to Ron Howard, who played Opie on the TV series. Howard has often mentioned that after his actual parents, Andy had a huge impact on his life. Number 3, Andy didn't get along with everyone all of the time. His rocky relationship with actress Frances Bouvier is evidence of that. Both actors were opinionated and often had very different points of view. Before her passing, Andy and Frances were able to patch things up and reconcile their many differences. Number 4, Andy Griffith was not Andy Taylor. People were often surprised that the real Andy was a bit more cantankerous and curmudgeonly than the pleasant, affable feller on TV. But think about it. Would you be a little bit put off if everyone expected you to be someone you're not? The bar was set way too high by the fictional Andy Taylor, and Andy Griffith was not able to live up to those expectations. Number 5, Andy had strong political beliefs which he often shared when he felt like he had a chance to influence a certain issue. Whether or not you agree with the man's politics, one's willingness to stand up for what you believe in is an admirable trait. Number 6, Andy never forgot where he came from. Andy loved Mount Airy, and quite frankly, the wonderful little town loved him right back. Throughout the years, Andy would return home from time to time to reconnect and recharge, and to this day, the fine folks in Mount Airy talk about Andy and the positive impact that he had on their community. So there you go, one more pick. This time, let's just go back to the fishing hole with Andy and Opie. What a great picture. Alright, enough yapping. Please share your memories in the comments section below, and while you're at it, please click on the thumbs up icon, and why not consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and television, mostly from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that video. So let's do some more comments. And I'm falling behind. I'm going to do my best to scroll through and read these as quickly as possible. But welcome, Ravenscroft82. Good to have you with us this afternoon as we celebrate the month of Mayberry. And speaking of the month of Mayberry, before we do that, let me just remind everybody what that actually means. For those folks that have MeTV, that means tonight, we're going to have some great programming on MeTV. The Andy Griffith Show is going to be the pickle episode, followed by a special collector's call with Lisa Welchel, where she's going to visit with a world champion Mayberry trivia guy, Mike Haviland, I believe is his name, followed by a couple of episodes of MASH with special Mayberry guest stars, and then the evening concludes with a special broadcast of the television movie Return to Mayberry. One of my absolute favorite TV movies. So, and again, let's go. It's called the month of Mayberry. It's all month long. We're going to see a lot of great things over the course of the month. And I'm hoping that we get to see some more color episodes than we typically see, as well as I am hoping that we do see a handful of episodes of Mayberry RFD. Okay, let me get back to those comments now. Apologize for taking so long with that. And no, I'm not sponsored by MeTV or any other. I will tell you when I'm sponsored. And it's not right now. But I do love MeTV. Ravenscroft said Andy missed Don, and he probably realized the scripts were just not the same, so it came through on the screen. I agree with you on that. Zuperplex said, I watched the color episodes and thought they weren't so bad. They weren't. They weren't so bad. I think over time, though, as I've had a chance to revisit, I do appreciate the color episodes, but as I've revisited those black and white episodes over and over, just, they're magic. John H. says, Sheldon Leonard, I'm sure, encouraged him. Yes. And he tried to encourage Carl Reiner and Dick Van Dyke to do the same, but they said no. Probably smart on the part of those guys to, cap the Dick Van Dyke show when they did. Lisa Fields, superfan Lisa Fields, welcome to the live stream. And yes, I love the Mr. McBeevy episode. A great one. Another one of my favorite Don Knotts movies, Keith, was The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. Jason Schultz says the episode where a lazy man comes to town and never worked was great. I love the episode where the guy's car breaks down and he's in a hurry. I think the episode's titled Man in a Hurry, and he's in a hurry to get out of Mayberry. And I just love the message of that episode. But thanks for sharing, Jason. Let's see. John H. says, I think TV Land shows the Andy Griffith Show as well, but lots of commercials. Yeah, that's true with all those things. John Collins said, Dave, did you see my super chat? Yes, I did. I'm glad you subscribed to Friendly TV. It's a great way to watch MeTV, as well as another one of my favorite networks, Heroes and Icons, which is also, I think it's the same company. But thank you so much. And did you see that you are an executive producer of this live stream? Thank you so much, sir. Danny Staten says, I can't remember a day that Andy was not on at least once a day around here. In South Carolina. It totally makes sense. John McJunkin says, love all the episodes featuring Otis, Floyd, Leon, or Asa, the security guard at the Mayberry Bank. Anytime they were on, they just completely stole the scenes. Yes, they did. I love little Leon and that peanut butter sandwich he's always offering up. Terrell says they did try to replace Barney with another actor played by the late comedian Jack Burns. Warren. His name was Warren, but it did not work. Steve Keys says, I love the mountain wedding episode. Yeah, so did I. So much fun. Don Knotts really shines in that episode. Oh, and so does Ernest T. Bass. Trying to drawing a blank on the name of the actor that plays Ernest right now, but love Ernest T. Bass and the whole Darling family. Let's see. What else do we have here? Scrolling through. John H. said, did anyone see when Ron Howard hosted Saturday Night Live in 1982? There was a sketch visiting modern-day Mayberry. I haven't seen that. But I have seen Eddie Murphy play Floyd, so maybe I have seen it, and I just don't remember it all. I have to track that down because that sounds like so much fun to watch. Danny Staten says he's talking to me. He knows I have a foul mouth. Laugh out loud. Actually wasn't talking to you, Danny, but it's applicable to all. Ravenscroft 82 says, Andy said the show aired in the 60s, but Mayberry was really a product of the 30s as far as morals and all that kind of stuff. Yep. Totally true. All right. I need to take a drink. So what we're going to do before we go to more comments is we're going to play a little commercial, and then we will be right back. Let's get rid of that comment, though. And then let's find that commercial. Let's do Sanka. Yeah, a little Sanka decaffeinated coffee.
Could I have a little service, please?
Oh, hi, Andy. What'll it be? An ice cream soda?
Oh, no, thank you. I remember the last ice cream soda you gave me. Where in the world did you get the recipe to that? Lucretia Borgia?
I have something for you.
What's that?
Sanka coffee.
Sanka coffee? Did you say Sanka coffee?
That's right. It's a coffee that gives you the best of the coffee bean. Aroma, flavor, but no caffeine.
Is that the truth?
Sure. It's the modern coffee that's 97% caffeine-free.
No.
Yes, and that means you can drink all you want anytime you want.
Well, I'll be dogged.
Oh, you knew all about Sanka. Why do you lead me on? Do you enjoy that sort of thing?
Yes, sir. And the sponsor kind of gets a kick out of it, too. Try Sanka coffee, folks. I appreciate it, and good night.
Eleanor Donahue. Oh, I can't tell you how much I wish that character stayed on the Andy Griffith Show beyond the first season. They didn't have to have I know that Andy and Eleanor felt like there wasn't the chemistry that the characters needed for them to be in a relationship. They didn't need to be in a relationship. Those two characters were so wonderful. They could have had just a great friendship. Nothing wrong with that. I'm a big Eleanor Donahue fan. Let's get to the comments here. All right. Deborah Cooper says, my DVR is full of the Andy Griffith Show and every episode of The Big Bang Theory. My DVR as well is just chock full of the Andy Griffith Show, Batman, Leave It to Beaver, and Star Trek. Let's see. John H. says, yes, I've read that about the Mayberry in the 1930s type setting. He also mentioned Opie used a book strap and maiden aunts living with the family as help. Yeah, all things from a little bit earlier than the 60s. Kimberly Wiederhold asks, did you ever hear his bit about going to a football game? Yes. It's very, very funny. And it's one of the things that really got Andy notoriety and got him visibility as an entertainer and comedian. All right. I'm seeing a lot of folks say hello. I'm scrolling through, trying to get caught up here. Rita Daniel says, if I'm ever having trouble in life, I just plug in a disc with 2 to 3 hours of the Andy Griffith Show, which reminds me of brighter days of my childhood, which was so similar to Opie's childhood. How awesome is that? To have a childhood that ideal. Wonderful. 59 people in here and only 13 likes. Come on, click on that thumbs up button. Thanks for the reminder, Lance. Let's see what else we've got here. Superfan Tracy Rothmeyer says, I remember Andy met with his old girlfriend who left Mayberry and came back sophisticated, and Andy couldn't comprehend her lifestyle, and she asked him to leave Mayberry, and he declined. Yeah, I remember that episode as well. It was a good one. Let's see what else we got. Oh, yeah, Suzanne Cupito, who later changed her name to Morgan Brittany and went off to great fame, appeared as one of Opie's love interests in the later seasons. Yes, I remember that episode as well. Alex Bogue says, I was born in 1989 and was introduced to the show via Nick at Night. A lot of folks were. And I was born in the 60s, but I was really introduced to the show in the 70s on syndicated reruns. Superfan Emily Miller says, I live in North Carolina. Folks in Mount Airy aren't as friendly to everybody. You know, I've been to Mount Airy once, and I will say that the day that I was there, and it wasn't Mayberry days or anything like that, but the day that I was there was a Saturday, and my wife was in town for a business trip, and so I tagged along so we could go to Mount Airy, and they were just so kind and good to us. I went to the Snappy Lunch when we arrived, and it was already should have been closed. And I stuck my head in and asked if they were still sitting people down. And the guy was just so kind. Come on in, settle on in. We'll get you some food. And I really encountered what I thought was Southern hospitality. The same thing when I went to Floyd's Barbershop. It just had a great day in Mount Airy. Big Bad John, welcome to the live stream. Good to have you here. I think I said hello to Ravenscroft 82, but hello once again. Lisa Welchel, not only is she beautiful, but very intelligent and a great host of, I love Collector's Call. Let's see. Yeah, Emily Miller says, I'm sure it's not all fiction, Superplex. There are good and not so good folks everywhere. And that is so very true. And the key, our goal, right, is to try to surround ourselves with those good folks as much as possible. Tom says, met Margaret Carey, who played the wife of that guy who was going to get evicted, but did have his glasses to sign a document. Interesting. John Collins, superfan John Collins says, does the month of Mayberry only consist of a once a day 3-hour block from 5 to 8 p.m.? So the month of Mayberry is just, today's the big day, right? They're kicking it off with the Return to Mayberry Andy Griffith TV movie. But it's really, what they mean by that is the episodes that are selected when the Andy Griffith Show airs in the evenings are episodes that you don't typically see. They're not all from there. Some of the best episodes from seasons 1 through 5, the black and white seasons, and then there's some rare episodes that were some of the best from those color seasons. And then, like I said, they've typically included some Mayberry RFD seasons as well, or episodes from that show. And so hopefully, I don't know what they have in store. I'm not sponsored by them. I just get excited for the month of Mayberry every year. Ravenscroft 82 says, Return to Mayberry is probably the best TV reunion movie ever, honoring the show's past and characters. Great comment. Deborah Cooper says, the one thing that I didn't understand is there would be characters like Rafe Hollister that would play different characters in other episodes. So true. There was a stable of actors that would play a bunch of different actors, or a bunch of different characters over the course of the 8 seasons of the Andy Griffith Show. Attaboy Luther, love that line from The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. Alex Bogue says, Don Knotts was hilarious in Three's Company. Totally agree. Mr. Furley was an awesome addition. As sad as I was to see the Ropers go, I loved Mr. Furley. Yes, I did know that Jack Nicholson appeared on the Andy Griffith Show. Early appearance. We also had Bill Bixby on the Andy Griffith Show. So many. There actually were a lot of stars that made guest appearances on the show. Some of them when they were already stars, others when they were before they had hit fame. Bill Bixby did not play the title character of Man in a Hurry. I can't remember the name of the actor, but he physically is very different looking than Bill Bixby. You're thinking of the episode where Bill Bixby plays kind of a young, spoiled, rich kid. All right, yes. Kimberly says, I like the episode with Bill Bixby. He was a spoiled rich kid who by the end learns where true value is. Yes, indeedy. Yes, Dominic D says Andy Griffith had his pal Don Knotts on Matlock a bunch of times. He also had Betty Lynn on Matlock, and he had, he was very loyal to his friends, and I'm drawing a blank now on the character. I just did a video on the guy who plays Howard, but he had him on the Matlock as well. And you guys always help me out. Earlier I said I couldn't remember who played Ernest T. Bass. Yes, that was Howard Morris. Thanks, Nick. Truly appreciate the assist. Yes, Rita helped me out. John helped me out. Thank you so much, folks. Now you can help me out. Remind me of the wonderful actor who played Howard on the Andy Griffith Show. Let's see. Yes, I thought so as well, Raja1938. Thank you for joining the live stream. She did a phenomenal job singing the Facts of Life theme song during that live airing of the Different Strokes Facts of Life that happened, probably 6 months ago. Okay. Let's do this. We're going to take a quick break, watch another video, and then I'll be back to read some more comments. Anybody remember Mr. Schwamp? For the next few minutes, I'd like to discuss one of the greatest unsolved mysteries ever to grace U.S. television screens. Does the guy talking to Andy and Helen look familiar? If you're a fan of the Andy Griffith Show, he should. The character's name is Mr. Schwamp. He appeared in over 24 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show, and yet never spoke a word. And here's the really weird part. Even after all these years, no one knows who he really is. Yep, this is a true unsolved mystery that is without doubt worthy of Robert Stack himself. So what do we know? Well, truthfully, not all that much. According to the official Andy Griffith Show wiki site, Mr. Schwamp is a Mayberry citizen seen in at least 26 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. As I mentioned, he never speaks. However, Andy and Barney frequently address him by name. In the episode The Fun Girls, Andy says, "Barney, I'm not going to a dance and stand in a stag line with Old Man Schwamp." Personally, I think calling this handsome devil an old man is a bit of a disservice to whoever this fine actor actually was. One fan-based theory about Mr. Schwamp is that he was played by an old friend of Andy's who had fallen on hard times. As such, Andy got him a small role in one episode of the show with a couple of speaking lines so that he could be paid more for his time on the set. However, when the moment of truth arrived, the friend couldn't remember his lines and froze. The rest of the cast just kept going, and at the end of the day, everyone liked how the scene turned out so much that they kept it and kept inviting Andy's old friend back to film more episodes. Whoever he was, the feller would also appear in a handful of movies, as well as the Andy Griffith spin-offs Gomer Pyle USMC and Mayberry RFD. The thing that makes this mystery so strange is that the cast and crew must have known him well, otherwise he wouldn't have kept showing up. Was it simply an inside joke, or was there something else going on here? One theory that has been debunked is that Mr. Schwamp was played by Danny Thomas's brother. While it's true that his brother Tom Jacobs did appear in a number of episodes of The Andy Griffith Show, just one look at Tom makes clear that he didn't play our mysterious friend Old Man Schwamp. No puffy cheeks, no silly grin, definitely not him. Despite the potential theory that I provided earlier, other fans continued to discuss this mystery, and a few years back on April 1st, the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club Facebook page announced that they had finally solved the mystery. Within a few hours, they had posted an article identifying the actor who played Mr. Schwamp as Patch S. Wimmers, with a full biography. Sadly, or hilariously, depending on how you look at it, at the end of the article, there was a link which revealed that the post was an April Fool's Day joke. Even more recently, on another Andy Griffith fan site, there was a forum posting pointing fans to a YouTube video of an old home movie from the Howard family. Yep, it looks like little Opie Cunningham's real family captured Mr. Schwamp somewhere on set and out of character. Could he have been someone involved in the production of the show? A producer, a director, or even a writer? Personally, I believe that kind of connection is just as likely as the idea that the chap might have been a friend of Andy's looking for work. What I find most strange about the whole deal is that there have been no family members willing to come forward and say, "Hey, that's my dad." Whoever this guy was, he had to have told his kids about his time working on the Andy Griffith Show. You don't work on an iconic TV series like that and not tell a few stories. Another person who could, in all likelihood, quickly solve this mystery is this feller, Ron Howard. One of my favorite actors/directors ever. But apparently he's not much of a storyteller. Otherwise, we'd have the answer that we all desperately need. You hear me, Ron? 5 minutes! Just give me 5 minutes, and I guarantee that there are a handful of us Andy Griffith nutcases that will finally get a good night's sleep. So there you go. What do you think? Why did this guy keep showing up on the show? And why, oh why, does he remain a mystery to this very day? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, and while you're at it, please click on the thumbs up icon if you enjoyed this video, and why not consider subscribing to the channel? I focus on music, movies, and television, mostly from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Raja 1938 says Mr. Schwamp had such an impish air about him, didn't he? And he did all of that without ever uttering a single word. I love the mystery of Mr. Schwamp. And I personally, truthfully, if you want to know the absolute truth, much like the quest to find Sasquatch, I hope we never know exactly who Mr. Schwamp was. I think there's fun in the mystery, and if the mystery ever gets solved, the fun goes away. All right, some comments to read. Let me just keep going here. Movie World Comics says, just an hour ago, I finished watching Return to Mayberry. Have it on DVD. Awesome. Ravenscroft 82 says, actually, I think the color episodes seem a bit more dated because they seem rooted in time, whereas the black and white ones seem timeless. I agree with that. Terrell says, Mayberry RFD, among other shows, was a victim of the 1971 Rural Purge, canceled due to the CBS's decision to focus on edgier urban-themed programming. Yes, they were going after a different target demographic, and so these rural comedies in particular got hit hard. Pat McCormick's in the house. Good to have you here, Pat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, Mayberry RFD was top 15 in the ratings when it was canceled. Todd McCreary mentions that Anita Corso was on Matlock as a judge. Yes, yes. And Jack Dodson was Howard. Thank you so much. Gerald Waldrop, welcome to the live stream, says, I love Don Knotts and the shakiest gun in the West. Yeah, great, great movie. And Burt Mustin. We all love Burt Mustin. We've got to love Burt Mustin. Wonderful, wonderful actor who didn't begin his acting career until his 50s. He was doing all sorts of other things, selling things. I think he was an insurance guy, maybe a roofing feller for a while. I can't remember all the different jobs that Burt Mustin had, but later on he became an actor, had a lot of different roles or episodes of the Andy Griffith Show where he showed up. And he was also Gus the Fireman in Leave It to Beaver. Yes. All right. What other comments do we have here? 23 likes. We can do better than that. Come on, folks. Click that thumbs up button. This is not Andy Griffith related, but I will comment on it. Gary Carpenter says Neil Adams has died. Yeah, Neil Adams, for those of you who don't recognize that name, was probably, well, in my mind, he's the greatest comic book artist ever. And some of the characters, in particular Batman, that he drew in the late 60s and early 70s really kind of revitalized that comic book. But he worked on so many different Green Arrow, Green Lantern, some of the Marvel comics, just really prolific and a very, very, his style of drawing was instantly recognizable. You could tell when you were looking at Neil Adams' art. And he will definitely be missed. Thanks for pointing that out. All right. I thought Burt Mustin lived to his 90s, but I might be wrong. Yeah, we've lost Joanna Barnes and Naomi Judd. Rest in peace to both of them. In particular, Naomi, I understand, was dealing with some mental health issues and had been for a long time. And she was supposed to, along with her daughter Winona, receive an award at the Country Music Hall of Fame tonight. Of course, I don't know if Winona will be there solo, but tragic, tragic news. Nick Momona says, Dave, I heard the Andy Griffith Show started as an episode on Make Room for Daddy. That's true. It was a backdoor pilot on Make Room for Daddy with Danny Thomas, and you can watch that episode if you do a little searching on YouTube. I think you'll find that episode. You can watch it. It's kind of fun. Andy's a little different, a little more hickish, and not quite the character that we see even during season one. And then as the seasons roll along, Andy, he really lets the comedy, he's really plays straight man to all the other characters, right? Yep, Don Rickles and Jerry Van Dyke were both on the show, as Movie World Comics points out. John Collins, superfan John Collins says, Dave, I know you're not a big fan of the Norman Lear universe, but as I am, I have a question. Did your parents like those type of topical programs, and what did they think of those types of series? They did not like them. So that probably has a lot to do with why they're not, while I can certainly respect those programs, and I think that Norman Lear was, I do really think that he was a creative genius, and what he accomplished during the 70s, just the number of television shows that he had on TV on the various networks. Most of them, it seemed like, were on CBS. But my folks did not like them. I was raised in a very conservative religious home, and in particular, my father did not agree with many of the ideas that were being presented on the show. And as such, we didn't watch them as kids. And now I've gone back and watched many of those shows as an adult. But there's something about the shows that you watched as a kid that makes them extra special and makes all of us wax a little nostalgic when we watch them now. And that's probably why I just don't have that same fondness. But I am a fan, might be the wrong word, but I have deep respect for Norman Lear and what he accomplished as a producer, as a creative, sort of person in Hollywood. Yes, Hiawatha Smalls points out that there's a morbid coincidence. I didn't know this, so I'm going to check this out later. 411 Elm Street was Barney's home address, the same address as the Texas School Depository in the JFK assassination. I've been there. I went to Dallas on a business trip and did check that out. Very interesting stuff. Love The Parent Trap. Love The Ample Dumpling Game. Thanks for pointing that out. The first one I love. Bixby and Knotts and Conway. You can't forget Tim Conway if we're going to talk about the Apple Dumpling Game. What else do we have here? Yeah, we've got a bunch of folks here. 87 people in the live stream today. Thank you so much for joining me on the first day of May, the first day of the month of Mayberry. Hopefully everybody will be watching MeTV this evening and catching the special episodes of the Andy Griffith Show, MASH, with Mayberry characters in them, actors, I should say. And then, of course, their broadcast of the Return to Mayberry television movie. Yep, all that's left is Ron Howard of the main actors from the Andy Griffith Show. Would Eleanor Donahue know Mr. Schwamp's info? Maybe. Like I said, I kind of like the mystery. Yeah, like I said, tremendous respect for Mr. Lear and what he did and his impact on the television industry. Let's see. Keep moving. Yeah, a number of the cast, including Eleanor Donahue, were on Star Trek. See, Lance Chaffin, superfan Lance Chaffin says loved Mayberry RFD. That's a show that because it wasn't on in syndicated reruns as much as the Andy Griffith Show. It's one that I've enjoyed when I watch it, but I must admit I just don't have that same fondness for it the way that I did the Andy Griffith Show. Marita, welcome to the live stream, says Andy was stricken with measles and was unable to have children. He and his wife adopted 2 children, which he sort of neglected because of the show. He spent a lot of time there. Yeah, Andy was a workaholic, right? And I do think his family life probably suffered some because of that. That doesn't mean I know he loved his family. But thank you for the comment. And if we're referring to the rural purge there, yes, boo CBS. I agree with that comment as well. Gary Carpenter says CBS was a fool to cancel country shows. I don't disagree. All right, I'm going to get to some more comments in just a moment, but we're going to watch one more video. We're going to start with a commercial, go to a video, and then we'll be back and handle some more comments, talk a little bit more. Hey, it's the month of Mayberry. We've got to do this stuff. This is important work we're doing here today on this live stream. So here we go. Anybody remember Post Toasties? I do.
Hey, Barn, want to watch Opie cross-examine me? He's been practicing.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Ope.
Now, Sheriff Taylor, did you not say that Post Toasties had the cornflakes crackling with fresh corn flavor?
Well...
Answer yes or no, please.
Yes.
And didn't you say that from field to flake, Post Toasties never lose their fresh corn flavor? Yes or no?
Yes.
That they're quick toasted to capture that fresh corn flavor. That they're so light and crisp they just about float into your bowl?
Yes.
No further questions.
That's pretty good, Ope. You want him to practice law, huh?
No, I want him to practice selling Post Toasties. Start your day a little bit better with Post Toasties. They're good.
Mayberry. Just saying the name immediately conjures images of the ideal hometown, of a simple life with good friends and relatively little stress. Unfortunately, most of us realize that Mayberry is more of an ideal than a reality. And while it doesn't really exist in the real world, it is something that we aspire to. And that, my friends, I truly believe is a good thing. For fans of the Andy Griffith Show, that sense of hope and optimism is one of the reasons that the program has remained very popular throughout the years, and it is for that very reason that it is truly interesting to learn about a few of the darker secrets that lurked behind that black and white mirage of happy endings that Mayberry promised viewers they would receive in 30 minutes or less. So without any further delay, here are 5 of Mayberry's deepest and darkest secrets that I pulled from the book Andy and Don, The Making of a Friendship and a Classic American TV Show by author Daniel Devise. Like so many of us, Griffith's youth wasn't picture perfect. In fact, he had a rather awkward childhood. There were times when he was teased by others, and despite the fame that he acquired later on in life, it was said that he always felt like he was looked down upon because of his wrong side of the track's roots, whatever that meant. I suspect much of that was in Andy's head. It's really hard to imagine folks looking down on such a beloved actor. And the actor who played his trusted deputy, Barney Fife, on the show, Don Knotts, well, he was equally troubled. Yep, life was pretty darn tough for Knotts, who grew up in poverty in Morgantown, West Virginia, and was the son of an alcoholic who was disabled by mental illness, and sometimes it was reported held a knife to his own son's throat. Folks, I just can't imagine how difficult that was for Don Knotts. Your family and your home should be a sanctuary, a haven, a place where you can escape all of the stressful situations that real life puts in front of us. Unfortunately for Don, it was not. Getting back to Andy, while on the Andy Griffith Show, Sheriff Taylor was a widower. Andy Griffith was very much a married man. Unfortunately, his 23-year marriage to Barbara Edwards unraveled during the early 70s, according to her, in a storm of alcohol and domestic violence. And even before that, there were rumors of Andy's infidelity while on the Andy Griffith Show set. I'm not going to go into the details here because, end of the day, I'm quite certain mistakes were made by both Andy and Barbara. Now, with that said, I've got to acknowledge that 23 years is a long time for anyone to be married, so both of them must have been doing something right. I think the saddest of all the revelations in the book is that Jim Nabors and Ron Howard were the only actors that actually got along with actress Frances Bobbier, who played Aunt Bee. Yep, it turns out she really wasn't much like the warm and loving character that she portrayed on the show. After her death, it's reported that none of the cast members from the Andy Griffith Show even bothered to attend her funeral. How sad is that? I do know that Andy did reach out to Frances prior to her passing, and the two of them were able to finally reconcile their differences. Speaking of funerals, I've always found it interesting that Andy Griffith was buried only hours after his sudden death from a heart attack. According to reports, family and friends did not waste any time burying Andy because he was adamant that he didn't want paparazzi to photograph his funeral. I guess I kind of understand that. Your last rites should be something of a private affair and not a media circus. So there you go, 5 dark secrets from the Andy Griffith Show as revealed in the book Andy and Don by author Daniel Devise. Alright, now it's your turn. Please share your memories in the comments section, and while you're at it, I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and I would be absolutely honored if you would consider subscribing to my channel. I talk about music, movies, and TV, mostly from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. You know, the good stuff. But most importantly, and as always, thank you so much for watching. All right. You know what? It's been a lot of fun today. There are a few more comments that I wanted to highlight here that I saw. Let's see. Let's go with this one. Lance Chaffin says, Superfan Lance Chaffin says, Pat, see you on Wednesday. I just wanted to give a shout out for Pat's live stream on Wednesday. He's got Michael Gray. Now, if that name rings a bell, it's because he showed up in a lot of shows on the set during the 70s. The Brady Bunch is one that immediately comes to mind. But Michael Gray also played Billy Batson in the live-action version of Shazam that aired on CBS on Saturday mornings during the 70s. He was the guy who you would say Shazam and turn into Captain Marvel. And Pat has got Michael Gray this Wednesday, and I'm sure it's going to be a great interview, and I'd encourage everybody to subscribe to Pat's channel, Pat McCormick, and you can find it by just typing in Golden Rage of TV. Like Golden Age of TV, but Golden Rage of TV in the YouTube search box. Deborah Cooper's asking about Andy's hand and the significance of a cast that he had. I see that other folks answered the question, but yeah, he had a bit of a temper and banged his fist around, I think, on a filing cabinet and a wall and ended up fracturing it. Superfan Dominic D says anytime they wanted an old man on TV, they'd call Burt Mustin. Yeah, they sure would. Hiawatha Smalls asks, what was Thelma Lou's occupation? I don't think they ever said, but she was successful at what she did. Movie World Comics says, did you see the Jim Neighbors show in the 70s, Lost Saucer? Sure did. Made a video about it. Love him and Ruth Buzzy in that Croft TV show. Steve Tevis says, Susan Oliver, need I say more? No, you need not. Wonderful, wonderful actress. Great lady. James Chavez says, this year I have a plan not to get burned out on Andy Griffith in early May and ruin it for remembering his birthday in June, on June 1st. You know what? I can't overdo it. I cannot overdo it. Alex Bogue says, Dave, how are your mom and dad doing? My mom passed away a couple of years ago. She had some mental issues and dementia, and just her health. Once that happens and it gets bad enough, health tends to deteriorate. And gosh darn it, we lost her. My dad's still kicking though, still around, and he's doing well. Jeff S. says, Burt Mustin died just before turning 93. Yeah, I knew he was in his 90s. And he did make some great appearances on The Carson Show. Larry Potter, good to have you with us. 96 likes. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. It's been so great to have you all here this afternoon for this special live stream to kick off the month of May, the month of Mayberry. Superfan Lance Chaffin says, how about Quark? Yeah, I've made multiple videos about that short-lived science fiction TV show from the late 70s. Jasper 1999 says, hi, just stopping by to say howdy real quick. Hey, good to have you here. Thanks for popping in. Always wonderful to read your comments when you leave them in the videos. Superfan Tracy Rothmeyer says, what did I hear about Danny Bonaducci being sick? Off topic. Yes, off topic, but I did make a video yesterday about that. So just hit the channel, Tracy. You'll see all the info that I have about that. Raj in 1938 says, I remember Burt Mustin most for his Brady Bunch appearance, as do I, when he was the great-grandson of someone that Jesse James killed. Movie World Comics says, Ron Howard was a great child actor. I remember him as on a Twilight Zone episode, and he directed my favorite John Candy film, Splash. Just kidding. I really do like Splash. It's not my favorite John Candy film, but I really do like Splash. It's a great one. We do have a super chat. Let me get to that super chat real quick here. Larry Potter, thank you so much. I'm glad you were able to pop in, and I hope that if you missed the first part, that you'll be able to go back and watch it on replay. So appreciate the super chat and so appreciate just you. You've always been a great supporter of the channel, and I love reading your comments when you leave them. So thanks so much. Let me throw a little bit of love your way in terms of video. I'm going to do a combo Dukes / Fembots. I'm going to mix it up a little bit.
I have created the ultimate weapon to defeat Austin Powers. Bring in the Fembots!
Thank you for your support, Larry, and thanks to everybody. I saw a comment that the show is about to start. Yeah, in some areas, I believe the Andy Griffith Show is about to start with the famous pickle episode. So don't want to get in the way of folks watching that. Let me just say thank you to everyone for your presence today during the live stream. It's been awesome, and I could say thank you, or I could let Lawrence Welk and Mr. Rogers say thank you to you. So that's what I'll do.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for me. Thank you very, very, very much.
And one more.
You are special.
Thanks again, everybody, for joining me today. And again, thank you to my executive producers, John Collins and Kevin Connor, for their support. Truly appreciate it. But most importantly, to all of you, for your engagement, for your conversation, for your enthusiasm about a topic that I could go on and on about, and often do, to the chagrin of family members and friends. Thank you so much for joining me for today's live stream. Hey, have a great week. Take care, everyone.